Hello students, welcome back. In this video, we're going to introduce the core gameplay mechanic of Nova Strike, and that's our attack systems. So our player, our ship that can fly all through space, is going to have two primary attack systems. First, it'll have a laser gun that it can fire and shoot laser bullets, we'll call them. And then second, a bomb system that it can deploy to deal massive amounts of damage over an area. So we'll work on implementing these two systems here in this video. So let's head to the computer screen and we'll dive right in. So I have lesson 3's starter file open here in vscode.dev. I'm going to minimize my browser and open that file directly. So I'm going to come to my Nova Strike folder, open it, and click on lesson 3 and lesson 3 starter file. All right, and so the first thing I notice here is I got my start overlay, so this is good. It looks like I got some new text here in the HUD for my bomb count, which is currently at 0, so I have no bombs. And whoa, I just hit the F key and I created this giant square that appears in the middle of the screen. So I don't know, the F key is what we're going to use for firing. So F is going to be firing and B is going to be bombs. Bombs does nothing, but F looks like it fires one bullet. Does it fire in front of me or does it always fire? Yeah, okay. It's firing right there and it's making this giant weird looking bullet. So congrats guys, we got a firing system that is completely broken. We got to fix it. We got to adjust that bullet system. So let's head over to the code here and let's look at mission number 1. Mission number 1 says we have to set the attack system constants. So just like with our stars, we brought the star system into play. We had some constants that were like dials or knobs that we could tune and adjust to change how that system fit into our game. We're going to do the exact same thing with our attack system. And those constants are going to be found here in our student edit zone. So if I scroll down, we've got constants for our player and our stars. And now we have constants for our attack system. And we're going to have two different systems here. Our bullet system, like our laser gun, and then our bomb system. And right now they are all set to 0. Those are really, really bad values for our system. So let's change it. Our player's bullet size, which is currently set to 0. Well, how big do we want our bullets to be? I'm going to make our bullets be, we'll do 10 pixels. All right, so I'll say a size of 10. And then our bullet speed. So our bullets, when we launch them from our player, we're going to want them to move upwards at some speed. I'll give them a speed of 10. Let's do 10 for right now. And then we're also not going to want to be able to just spam our bullets. So like we're going to have a cooldown. So like if I was holding the F key down and there was no cooldown, it would just fire an infinite stream of bullets. But with a cooldown, it would, and remember holding the key, it'll go like fire, 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 instead of fire, 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 fire. Okay, if that made any sense. So let's put a cooldown of 10. So we'll just keep them all at 10, and then we'll test it to see if those values are good later. And then let's do our bombs. So we're going to keep track of the starting number of bombs we get. I'm going to start with 3 bombs. And then when we set off a bomb, it's going to destroy anything that is within a circle of a set radius. And I'm going to make that bomb radius 225. And then our bomb is going to go off for a certain number of frames. And I'll have it go off for 24 frames. So for 24 frames, that bomb will be dealing damage to anything that enters the circle of this particular radius here. All right, so with that, our system constants are set. But, you know, we should maybe go look at what other variables we have here. So in our color palettes, it looks like we've got a bullet color, which is 7CFF6B. So FF is all the green. So we're going to get all of the green with some red and some blue. So this is going to be like I'm thinking like a green shade. We've got a bomb ring color and a bomb fill color. So our ring color is FF, all the red, 4F, a little bit of green, D8, quite a bit of blue. So this is probably going to be like a pink or purple color. And then our bomb fill color is going to be similar to that, but very transparent because look at its alpha channel at 0.14. And then outside of the student edit zone, do we have any more gameplay variables? Well, we do. We have an array for all of our player bullets. So this is a container where we are going to put every single bullet that we create. And we have a shot cooldown frames variable. So right now it's set to 0, but eventually we are going to set it to maybe 10 frames. after we fire. And while this is bigger than 0, we won't be allowed to create another bullet. And we'll count it down. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6. Still can't fire, still can't fire, still can't fire, still can't fire, still can't fire. But when this hits 0, then we can fire again. So that's going to help us trigger those cooldowns. And then we have active bomb. Active bomb is currently set to null. Null is the empty data. It just means no data because there is no bomb created. We don't need a container or an array because we're only going to have one bomb on the screen at a time. And so right now it is set to null, but then eventually we'll set it to some object that has properties, maybe like an X property and a Y property and a radius property, something like that, when we want to create the bomb. And when the bomb is done, we'll set it back to null. And we have a variable called bomb count, which is going to keep track of the number of bombs we have. So what did we set? Our max bomb count was to 3. So if I launch one, then it'll be 2. And if I launch one, it'll go down to 1. And maybe if I get one back, it'll go up to 2. But we'll track that here. So there is where we are initializing all of those variables. All right, so now we've got an overview of our attack systems. Let's hit Control F to find Mission 2. Mission 2 asks us to create the player bullet data. All right, so remember how when we saw our star system, where was our star system? We mentioned we will generate data, we will spawn data, and we will update data. We're going to repeat that structure here for our bullets. So our bullets is something that we want to bring into our game. So I have generate player bullet data, I have spawn player bullet, and then we have update player bullets. So let's look at generate player bullet data. We're creating an object that represents the bullet that we are about to launch. And if you look, this bullet has 4 properties: an X property, a Y property, a size property, and a speed property. And right now, every single bullet that we create is going to be at X position 300, Y position 300, with a size of 100. Well, 100 is huge. That's why we're getting this like really, really big. Beep. Let me refresh the page here. This big bullet is getting created at X position, 300 pixels in, Y position, 300 pixels down, with a size of 100. So we got to change that. Well, let's change the size first, because I know we have, didn't we just define player bullet size? Yeah, we defined player bullet size. I think it's going to be this first one right here. So player bullet size, which is 10 pixels. So now when we fire, we should only make one that's 10 pixels big. There, that looks much better for a player's bullet. But I don't want it to always be created right here at this location at 300, 300. I want it to create wherever I am, wherever the player is. So what we're going to do is we're going to say that X value of our bullet, we don't want it to be at 300 pixels. We want it to be at sort of the player's X position. All right, so let's check this one out. And while we're at it, let's do the Y position too. We don't want the Y position to always be at the 300. Let's use the player's Y position. And let's check that out. So now if I'm right here and I hit fire, okay, did you notice it sort of created the bullet like in this top left corner? So that's not necessarily what I want. So let's fix the easy one first. I want to shift it up by the bullet's size. So we're going to move it up by the bullet size. So let's move up the Y value by the bullet size by subtracting player bullet size. Tab for autocomplete. So that'll fix that one. So now when we fire, okay, so at least now it's up there, but I don't want it created there. I want it created in the center of my ship. So to center it, I need to move it over a little bit, like half of the player's size. So I'm going to move it over half the player's size to the right. So that X property, we're going to add the player's size property divided by 2. That's half the player's size. Let's check it out now. All right, so here we are. Okay, so it went too far. Well, here's the reason why. We're now pushing the bullet's left side to that spot. So now I got to move back over just a little bit. I got to move back over half of the bullet's size to make it purely centered. So now we're going to move it back player bullet size over 2. And all of that will guarantee that we now have it created in the right location. Let's test this out. Perfect. That is exactly where I want to make my bullet. Look at that. They are always being created exactly where I am. Oh, this is cool. Look at this. I can like draw a neat little shape. Let's refresh the page. Let's have some fun with that. Ready? Watch this. Okay, I'm going to draw some little eyes. Beep. It's like you made a little paint program. We'll draw a little picture. And then let's see if I can give myself a smiley face. What? Because we're having fun. I like that. That's really fun. Hey, we got one more property here we got to fix, and that's the player's speed, or the bullet's speed. Right now it's set to 0, so we don't want to have it set to 0. I think we had a constant for this, right? Player bullet speed. We said we're going to move them 10 pixels. So perfect. But there's one problem here. If we run this, I don't think our bullets are going to move yet, because that's probably not programmed in. But let's think ahead. If our speed is positive 10, positive is going to move the bullet down the window, and we don't want that to happen. We want it to go up the window, reaching closer and closer and closer to a Y value of 0 up at the top of the screen. So we got to make this negative player bullet speed. Now, before we go on to mission number 3, let's just go up and see why is it that the F key is triggering our firing of our bullets. Well, this is going to put us in way up at the top. We've got our setup function from P5 run once at the start of our game, our draw function, which runs every single frame of the game. And if you look here, if our game mode is equal to play, we're updating our stars, our player, and then we have 3 new update functions: update weapon systems, update player bullets, update bombs. So these are going to get called every single frame. So it's good for us to recognize that here. And then we have key pressed, which runs every time a button is pressed on our keyboard. And we ask a question. And right now, right, we got enter, we've got our reset for R, we got our lose for G, and then we have the bomb key, B. Okay, so that's going to check to see if we press a bomb key, the B key, that's going to control spawning a bomb. That clearly is not functional yet, okay? So if I press B, I'm not spawning a bomb. But if I press F, not only if I press F, but if I hold F down, I'm creating bullet after bullet after bullet after bullet after bullet. So we're holding our key down, which is why you don't see an F key here in get pressed. This only runs when the key is pressed down, not when it's held down. So let's go to mission 3. Mission 3 finds us in this function called update weapons systems. And we just saw this is going to get called every single frame of the game. And so inside of here, we are first targeting that variable shot cooldown frames. We subtract 1 from it. All right, so if shot cooldown frames was say 5, we run this, it's now 4. The next frame, it's 3. The next frame, it's 2. The next frame, it's 1. And then the next frame, it is 0. And right now it says, fire bullets when the F key is pressed. Use a cooldown so the player cannot spam shots. So we're asking a question. And our question has 2 parts. If key is down 70, that's our F key. And then this means and. And so we're saying and true. Well, true is always true. So the answer to that question is always yes. So when I press the F key and yes, both of those statements, this side right here, I have to be pressing the F key, and this side, both of them have to be yes in order for this code to work under and. Well, so when I press the F key, true is always true, so this always works. Let's change it to false. If I change it to false, now when I run this, I never fire a bullet. I can't fire a bullet because both of these statements will never be true because this one's always false. So we want something that is sometimes true, sometimes false. I should only be able to fire when we are no longer in our cooldown. So when are we no longer in our cooldown? Well, that's when that shot cooldown frames is less than or equal to 0. If that has happened, that means we're no longer in cooldown. We should be able to fire again. And let's look at how we're firing. We're calling spawn player bullet. Well, what's spawn player bullet do? It takes my array or container player bullets and it pushes something into the end of that array. It pushes whatever we get from our generate player bullet data function. And that is right here what we made in mission 2. So our object gets pushed into that array. It creates the bullet for us. And then it sets our cooldown frames back to 0 I don't think that's right because we just fired. If I run this right now, we have that check in place. I think I'm still going to have, I'm still spamming bullets, right? We don't want to be able to spam bullets. And that's because we never actually reset the timer. So right now I have fired, so I got to set that cooldown. We are in cooldown. So I'm going to set it to player bullet or player fire cooldown frames. That was the constant for our weapon system that we had. So we set it to 10 and then we count down 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And once it's at 0, then this statement is true again and we can create a new bullet. Now we should see our bullet system in action. Hey, look at that. So now I have a cooldown. I'm not spawning them all the time, but there's only one problem. They don't move. They're just stationary. When I fire this bullet, I want it zoom, moving up the screen. So we got to figure out, how do we now move these bullets? Well, let's head to mission 4 and see if mission 4 will crack that code for us. And it finds us in the update player bullets function. All right, so we got to update the bullets. It says move the bullets upward each frame. Use bullet speed to control how fast they travel. All right. In here, I'm gonna put a note here. This is for us, for our understanding. I've got this array, right? Our player bullets, our container. And as I spawn bullets, when I hit the F key, I'm pushing new bullets into this array. So let's just say I've got bullet 1, bullet 2, bullet 3, bullet 4. Remember, inside of the array, each of those bullets is at a specific index, starting at 0 and going to 3 here. So position 0, position 1, position 2, position 3. We are looping over this array. And we're doing it in a really, really interesting way. We're going to start at the end of the array and work backwards. And you always want to do this anytime you want to potentially remove something from the array. Why would I ever want to remove a bullet? Well, imagine if this bullet was moving and it moved all the way off the screen. It's time to remove it. Imagine if this bullet was moving and it collided with an alien ship. It's time to remove it. So whenever we want to remove an object from an array, we're going to start at the end of the array and loop backwards. So how does this for loop define looping backwards? We create a variable called I. Let I equal the array player bullets dot length. So every array has a length property, which is the number of elements are inside of it. Right now I have 4 elements inside of it, but then I'm subtracting 1 from that. So 4 minus 1 is equal to 3. And 3 corresponds to the last position in the array. So that's my current value of I. And if you look, what do? I create a variable called bullet, and I open up the array using square brackets, and I reach in and grab what is at index I. Well, we just established I is 3 currently, so I grab bullet as the last bullet in the array. And I'll run all this code that's in here, and then the next time through, I subtract 1 from I. That's what this means right here. So now I is 2. And I grab this bullet, and I do all of the code. And then I subtract 1 from I. And I is 1. And I grab this bullet and I do all of the code. And then I subtract 1 from I, and I is 0. And I use this bullet to do all the code. And this is going to run forever and ever until this condition right here is no longer true, until I is no longer greater than or equal to 0. So once it gets to be -1, we no longer have any elements over here in the beginning of our array, that for loop will stop. And that is our structure that we will use anytime we want to remove something from an array. So I now grab the bullet out of the array at position I, and I want to target that bullet's Y property. Right now, we're just increasing it by 0. Well, that doesn't seem right. What if I increase it by 6? Let's see what happens. If I increase it by 6, are our bullets going to move? Hey! Well, they are moving, but they're moving in the wrong direction. They're firing backwards. This is not right. We want to fire them forwards. Well, you remember, we set a property of the bullet.speed. And speed was set to be, I think, negative. Yeah, look here, negative player bullet speed, because we said we wanted to move them up. So we're going to move them up the screen at 10 pixels per second. Let's check that out. I think we can now have a firing system. Pew, 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 pew. Hey, look at that. That's pretty good. That looks way better than what we had in the past. And as you're playing this game, you actually have to make that sound effect. You got to go pew, 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 pew. It makes playing that much more enjoyable. All right, now mission number 5. We have to be responsible because right now I'm just spamming the fire key and I'm creating so many bullet objects. And those bullet objects, when they leave the screen, they keep going. They're existing way up here, way up here. And that array that we have, what is it called? Player bullets. It might have like over 100 bullets in it right now. And I'm just going to keep filling it, right? I'm just adding more and more and more objects to that array. That array is getting bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. What we want to do is destroy or remove the bullets once they get off the screen. So how do we remove something from an array? Well, let's just review that the push method puts something into an array. And there is a method called splice. Splice will remove something from an array. You just have to specify what position you want to remove at. We're going to remove at the I position. Remember, it was like 3, then 2, then 1, then 0 in the example array that I had. And then you specify how many objects you want to remove starting at that position. We only want to remove 1 bullet. So we're asking a question that says if false. That's always no. We don't want that. We want a question that is sometimes yes, sometimes no. And we want to ask the question such that if it is yes, it is time to remove a bullet from our array. So what question will we ask? Well, we're going to target the bullet's y property. We're going to say, okay, bullet.y if the bullet's y property is less than, because right up here is 0, right? So we want to remove it once it gets to 0. Well, not really. I want to remove it once it gets to the HUD. So that's going to be our HUD height. So we'll say if bullet.y is less than HUD height. Let's check that out and see how that looks. If that's true, then the bullet has just passed into the HUD. It's time to remove it. So I'm going to fire and let's check. All right, so that was pretty good. That was okay. That's not bad. Now, really, it's not great though, because what we're doing, this is the top of the bullet. So we are removing it once its top is less than the HUD height. And so that's going to make it, as soon as the bullet just passes, we remove it. I want to make sure the whole bullet is off the screen. And while it's really not going to be hard to see, it's going to be hard to see, but let's do that by taking the player's Y value and adding the bullet's size. So that's just going to be, so now the entire bullet has to enter the HUD, and then we'll delete it. Again, you're probably not going to see any difference, but at least now I know that the entire bullet has got off the screen. All right, so now we are responsible. We are picking up after ourselves. So now if I look, mission 6 is right below because our bullet system is great, but the bomb system is not yet activated. Our attack system here is twofold. We have bullets and we have bombs. So mission 6, we are going to create the bomb object. We are going to generate our bomb data. Hey, just like our bullets, we put something into the world. We had generate bullet data, spawn bullets, update player bullets. I have generate bomb data, spawn bomb, update bomb. This structure is repeatable. So in mission number 6, we want to create the bomb. This says create a bomb object with position, radius, and timer. Spawn the bomb at the center of the player's ship. Okay, so right now, our bomb object has 4 properties: X, Y, radius, and timer. X and Y are currently set to 0. We don't want to spawn a bomb way up here in the upper left corner of our game window. I want to spawn the bomb at the center of the player's ship right here. That's my goal. So remember, the player's ship has an X coordinate, which is its left side, and a Y coordinate, which is its top. So I'm going to reference those, but I just got to shift them in and down half of the player's size to get to the center of the ship. So our X property of our bomb is going to be whatever our player's X property is, and then we'll shift it to the right, player.size over 2, half their size. And our Y property will be our player's Y property plus player.size divided by 2. So we'll shift it down half of it, half of the player size. The bomb's radius is currently set to 0. I think that was a constant we had in our bomb system. Yep, bomb radius. And then we have a timer. So our bomb is going to live for a certain amount of time. We'll set it for like 24 frames, and then we'll count down 23, 22, 21, 20, 19, 18, 17, 16 until it gets to 3, 2, 1, 0. And when this timer hits 0, it's time to remove the bomb. I think we have a variable for that as well. It's called bomb duration frames. Perfect. Mission number 6, our data structure is complete. Let's see. Can I make a bomb? We know it's triggered to the B key. Bomb, nothing. I'm getting nothing. Oh, wait a minute. Wait a minute. I noticed something right here. My bomb count is now 2. So right now my bomb count is 3. Okay, my bomb count is 3. I hit the B key, and just like that, my bomb count drops to 2. I must have made a bomb. I don't see the bomb, but it must be there. And if I try to hit B again, it doesn't let me create another one. Well, do you remember how we said we will only have one bomb active at a time? If you don't remember this, you stay right here. I'm going to jump to our gameplay variable section. Remember we said active bomb was equal to null, and I didn't need an array for this because I'm never going to have more than one bomb present. If I have a bomb present, it's going to be a dictionary with a bunch of properties, and when that bomb is not present, it'll be null. So I created one bomb. That bomb must still exist, and now I can't create another one until we destroy it. So there's a couple of things we have to do still for this system. Let's go to mission 7. We're not seeing the bomb. So mission 7 asks us to draw our bombs. So this is going to put us in our draw function. And inside this draw function, the first thing we do is ask a question. It says, if our active bomb variable is equal to null, meaning there is no bomb present, we return, which means get out of this function. If there's no bomb present, we have no bomb to draw. We should not even be inside of this function. But if we do have an active bomb, then this will not pass. We will not return, and now we'll be here in our code. So we want to draw the bomb as a circular blast radius. Use fill and stroke to make it stand out visually. All right, the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to put some paint in my paint bucket. So fill, and I'm going to use bomb fill color. It's going to be that nice pink or purple that we looked at that is transparent and with an alpha of 0.14. Then I'm going to pick up a marker, stroke, and I don't want an invisible marker because I want to see the outline of the shape that I'm about to draw. And I'm going to specify that I want this marker to be a specific color, bomb ring color. It's going to be this bright pink. So I'll have a bright pink outline of a circle and then a transparent paint inside of the circle. That marker, I got its color, but I also want to make that marker super thick. So in order to do that, I'll say stroke weight, and we'll change the weight or the thickness to 4. So it'll be 4 times thicker than it normally is. And now that I have the correct pen marker that I want and the paint loaded, I'm going to draw a circle. And circles need 3 pieces of information. They need the x coordinate of the center and the y coordinate of the center. Well, we have a variable active bomb, and it has an x property and a y property. I believe we saw those, we set those in mission 6. We created our bomb object, an x property and a y property. Also has a radius and a timer property. So let's use the x property and the y property here as the center of our circles. So active bomb.x and active bomb.y. And then the third piece of information here is the diameter of the circle. So our bomb here, active bomb, has a radius property. But radius is only half of a diameter, so I'm going to multiply that by 2, and then that will give me our diameter. All right, so now when we draw our bomb, and let's just check, are we drawing our bomb? Inside draw scene, we draw background, bullets, bomb, player, and HUD, and overlays if certain conditions are true. So we are going to draw the bomb. We should see a light transparent pink in the fill, and then a really strong pink as a circle outline. Let's run this. All right, so here is, I'm over here, we're going to draw a bomb. Boom. There is our bomb radius. Look at that. That looks really great. And my suspicions were correct. We created that bomb, but we've never destroyed it. So you see how I can't make another one with this one being active. But if I restart my game and I come over here, I reposition myself, the bomb is always drawn around the player. So that looks really cool. So anything that enters this circle will get destroyed. Any enemies or their bullets will be gone. So let's wrap this lesson up, wrap up our attack system by looking at mission number 8. It says we have to reduce our bomb's timer and then eventually remove it. Because remember, we set the bomb's timer when we created it. And this finds us in our update bomb function. The first thing we ask is, hey, if the active bomb variable is equal to null, meaning there is no bomb currently in our game, just get out of this function. There's no need to do anything else. There's no bomb to update. But if there is a bomb to update, we are taking that bomb's timer property and we're currently subtracting 0 from it. Well, I don't think that's right, because then the timer is never going to go down. We are going to subtract 1, so we'll count it down. I think we set it to 24, right? So 24, 23, 22, 21, 20, 19, 18, 17, 16, 54, 3, 2, 1, 0. And when it is 0, we want to take that bomb and destroy it. And that's exactly what we're doing here. We're saying active bomb is equal to null, the non-data. It means get rid of the bomb. But we got to ask the right question. When do we want to do that? If what? Well, if our timer has reached 0, that's the question we need to ask. So if active bomb dot timer, if the timer property is less than or equal to 0, it's time to remove the bomb. Hey, I think our bomb system is done and in place. Let's check the entire attack system, our core gameplay mechanic of Nova Strike. So I'll hit enter here. I can move around the game window. I can start firing. I got a nice cooldown here. All right, my bullets are starting and originating right in front of my ship. They're moving forward. They're being destroyed when they leave the screen. I can launch a bomb that's centered around the player. My bomb count goes down and the bomb disappears. I can launch another bomb and I can launch another bomb. And now that I have no bombs, can I launch one? No. So that is working perfect. Every great shmup, okay, needs a good attack system. We now have 2 attack systems at our player's disposal. We have our laser bullets that we can fire and our bombs that can deal massive amounts of damage. I think this is a great place to stop, and I can really begin to see Nova Strike coming to life. I can't wait to see you in our next video.